Hi there. This video is going to show you how to get started working with brackets by writing your first HTML5 document in brackets. So once you have brackets installed, you're going to go up to File, New, or type Control-N. And before you get started typing, I'd like you to save this file because you want to be able to tell brackets what type of file that you're working with. So we want to save this as a HTML page, and since this is the first time we're going to be saving it, we're going to click Save As, and we're going to navigate to that folder that we created earlier, and mine's called My Web Design Class, and I'm going to make a new folder and just call it Practice. So anything that I want to play with, I can put it in here. I'm going to call the file name my first web page. Now, a couple things to note about saving your web files in classes. Because these files will more than likely be going out to our Linux-based web server, there's a few rules that you need to take into consideration. Number one, Linux is not nearly as forgiving with file names as Windows is. So you want to follow these guidelines to make things easier on everyone. Number one, make the file name all lowercase. All lowercase letters. Don't put any weird characters in there. I mean, you can put like a number, you know, my homework 1 if you'd like, or homework 1, homework 2, things like that. But don't put any spaces, don't put any weird characters, and don't make them super long. Okay? So I'm going to call this my first web page.html, and that's how you want to save all of your HTML files. Underneath here it says save as type. You want it to say all files. Okay, and then you want to select the folder that you want that to go in and save it. Okay, so now that you have a page, here's that file name, my first web page.html, and now Brackets knows what you're going to be working with. So when you start typing, I want you to pay attention to what's typing, because Brackets will help you when you're writing your tags. Now, some people think that that's awesome, that it's helping you, saves you some time, and that's the whole point of it. And other people, especially when you're brand new, sometimes it ends up getting them confused because you're so busy typing and you're not looking at the screen that you don't realize it's trying to help you, and you make a big mess. So just pay attention as you're typing and go slow until you can do this from scratch. The very first line of all HTML documents is something called a doc type, and the doc type is a declaration of which version of HTML we're using. It used to be a really long, convoluted line that nobody ever could remember, but in HTML5 we really tried to simplify the language, and that is why I love teaching it to you, because it's so much easier. It's a little different format of a tag than most tags, because it starts off with a bracket and then an exclamation point, and in all capital the word doc type, no spaces, and then the word HTML lowercase. So that should be at the top of all of your pages, and what that does is it tells the web browser, hey, what follows is HTML5 tags. So go get your HTML5 interpreter and apply that to what I'm going to be placing here. The very next line should be the tag that just says HTML, and you see I typed in just the first tag, HTML, and it closed that tag for me by making that same tag with the backslash. So that is the little helpful thing that it's trying to do. So once I type that first tag, I'm going to stop, look at my screen, and then I'm going to hit enter, because that line, the closing HTML tag, is what I want at the very end of my document. Okay, so everything that is going to be happening on my page is going to be happening between that HTML opening tag and the HTML closing tag. Then within the HTML tag, we have two different sections. The first one is called head, and the second one is called body. So that's the next tags that I'm going to put in here. Now, you can tab in if you'd like. Just press the tab button to make your code look prettier. Again, this is all based on your style, but you'll see that generally when I'm typing HTML, I will put some indentations in there because it makes it easier for me to read. So I've got that head section, and then I'm going to put the body section, and I'm going to make it look like this. Okay, so the head section is where we're going to put different tags and bring in files and things like that, connect files to our page. It's kind of the administration section of our web page, whereas the body is where we're going to type all of our tags that's going to display information on our actual page. So anything in the head shouldn't come up in our web browser, but if you have it in the body, it will. So there's only certain tags we're going to use in the head. One of the tags that we use all the time is called title, and the title tag ends up being what is in the little tab, the name of the tab, or it comes up in the Google search results. So I'm going to call this my first web page. You can call this whatever you want, but if you don't include the title tag, what it's going to say in your tab is the word untitled, and that makes me very unhappy when I go to grade projects, because I want to see something up there, and I want it to be something, you know, nice. I don't want it just to be the file name. I want it to be something that you're showing me you're keeping the user in mind, because all of this is about presentation and about what we're doing for our user. So let's take a look at our live preview right now, and it's going to pull up this page, and there's our page. So how come there's nothing there yet? There's nothing there yet because we haven't put anything between our body tags. We've only put this my first web page, right? Oh, you know what? I have to save it. Hold on. Let me save it first. And then as I save it, I don't even have to refresh this browser. It says now the title, my first web page. Okay? If you are looking at your browser, anytime you save a page and you want to see the results in the browser and you're not using this live preview, you have to click the refresh button, which generally looks like a little circle with an arrow, and you can click that as many times as you want. Okay, so anytime you're working on your web page, the cool thing about using brackets is you've got that live preview, so you don't have to constantly save and refresh. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to put some tags in here in my body so that I can see it come up here. So the very first tag that I want to start my page with is an H1. And H is considered a heading. So it seems logical that I would want a heading on my page. H1 is the largest heading by default CSS, and it's going to be generally at the top of the page. You don't have to start with an H1. You could start with an H2 or even an H3 if you wanted to, but it's not necessarily, you don't have to go in order. Okay, so I'm going to call this also my first web page. A lot of times the title in the H1 is similar, and again, I don't see anything in here because I have to save it. So let me save it, and there we have it, my first web page. The next tag that you're going to want to be familiar with is called the paragraph tag, and that is a P. Okay, and again, keep an eye when you're typing your tags that it does your closing tag for you, which is very helpful. and you can type whatever you want in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and save. And there is my paragraph. You'll notice the difference between my font sizes. So let's say I want to put an H2. Okay, and I want to call this About Me. Save. About Me. You notice that the H2 is smaller than the H1. And then I can put another paragraph. Etc. You can have 2 paragraphs. And let's save it. So here are my paragraphs. If I want to keep typing, I can keep typing, but if I want to have a line break and move over to another paragraph, then I can go ahead and move down to the next one. Okay, I can keep going. Oops, not an O, I want a P. Okay. Okay, so that is my H2 and some more paragraphs. Oops, I have an extra line here. You see it over here. I need to remove that because that was when I made an accident there. So you want to keep an eye on your tags. Make sure they look good. And let me do another section. And I'm going to also keep that as an H2 because you don't really want to have a bunch of different headings on your page. You can have an H1 at the top and then a couple H2s for your subsections, but you really don't need like a H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. That's as low as it goes, is H6. You don't want to be obnoxious about the presentation, okay? So you want to try and keep some conformity here. So let's say I'm going to do programming languages I know. Okay, so here's my H2. Now I'm going to create what's called an unordered list. It's a UL. And this is going to make a little bullet list. And each item in the list is called an LI, or a list item. So let's say I'm going to say HTML5. Come down here. CSS. Etc. PHP. JavaScript, etc., right? Let me show you what that looks like. So here I have my little bulleted list. And again, that is called an unordered list, and these are list items. Okay, one more little section. I'm going to put another H2, my favorite websites. And I'm going to also make this be, an ordered list, an OL. Very similar to an UL, but instead of just having bullets, it's going to have numbers. So let me put that my first favorite website is Google, and my second favorite website, I'll just put Facebook in there. Okay, and I'm going to save it. Now, great, I have my favorite websites, and you see the difference between an ordered list, which is numbers, and an unordered list, which is bullets. But what am I missing here? I really need to be able to click to these links, right? Because pretty much anytime you have a website listed on your page, you're going to want to be able to link to it. That's just the way the web works, right? So I need to create an anchor tag. Okay, I know it's kind of a weird name for it, but that's what they decided a long time ago. So it's an anchor tag, or an A. And to create a link, you need to type the letter A for your tag. Now this tag is going to look a little different. Okay, I'm going to put my A, and because I've already typed my text, I need to take this closing tag and I'm going to cut it and put it at the end of my word. Okay, so right now if I was to save it, nothing happens yet because I'm missing a very important thing here. In order for this link to work, I have to specify it what's called an H reference, and that means I need to send it the URL of where I want this link to go to. Now if it's a URL that is off of my website, not one of my web pages that I'm navigating to, I need to put in http:// the full URL of the link. Okay, so take a look at how this is formatted, because this is one of the hard things for people. Most people, I can tell them about H1Ps and H2s and they get it. But as soon as we start talking about tags that have these additional attributes within them, then it starts getting a little more complicated. Okay, so know how to do a link. Once I save this now you see that link, and when I hover over it with my mouse, you see in the bottom of the browser window it says www.google.com. If I was to click it, it's going to go to google.com and take you off my page. Okay, so let's try to do the next one here. And again, we start with an A and then href equals, and since it's a site off of my own site, I need to put http://facebook.com, and then I need to grab my closing A tag, cut and paste it after my word there, and I'm going to save it, and there we have Facebook. Okay, so this is a very simple HTML5 page. We covered the basic structure, which is to have that doc type HTML, and to open the page up with your HTML tags, and then to break that down into a head and a body. Here's another cool thing about brackets. If you click on a tag, it'll show you the closing tag. So a lot of times once your code gets pretty complicated, sometimes you forget tags, and this way you can walk through them and see that they all have closing tags. We learned about headings, we learned about paragraph tags, and we learned about two different types of lists, the unordered list and the ordered list, and we learned about links. So now you're an expert in some basic HTML5 tags, and we'll cover some more advanced tags, how to put images in later videos. Thanks.